Hello, this is the Ableton Push 3, or just Push as they call it, and recently Ableton released Ableton 12, or Ableton Live 12 rather, the 12th version of their DAW, or Digital Audio Workstation. And for about 2 or 3 weeks it was only available on desktop and not on the Push standalone. But last week it did finally drop on the Standalone Push. Now, I've been personally excited about this because the Push hasn't gotten a ton of updates. There have definitely been some improvements, but I think there's still a lot of room for this device to grow. And unlike basically all of the other standalone music making devices that I use, it seems like Ableton is going to do massive updates when they actually update the desktop software, which kind of makes sense if you think about Ableton as a company, since they do primarily make a DAW and this is really their first fully standalone device. When you think about something like the MPCs or the Akai Force, the Roland boxes, the Electron devices, those aren't generally multi-$100 paid upgrades to get the new version of the OS. Whereas with the Push, it is. But again, kind of makes sense because the Push is a platform for their software. Also, excuse my voice, I raged a little too hard with my friend Jake, who mixed and co-produced my last album, by the way, link in the description. And so my voice is a little deeper than normal, but I do kind of like it. So I have a lot of thoughts about the Push. I think it's a really interesting device. I think it is the most advanced standalone groove box on the market, or music making device rather. I don't know if I'd call it a groove box, it's more of a DAW in a box. I think the sounds that you can make with it and the sounds that are included with it, especially if you have Ableton Suite, are really cool. And Live 12 introduced Meld, which is a new synthesizer, and Roar, which is like a distortion effect that's also pretty cool. There's a lot of MIDI generative stuff, and I talked about this in my Live 12 video, but I don't really like that sort of thing, and so a lot of the updates in Live 12 aren't personally super exciting for me, but I was interested to see how it translated to the Push. Now, so far, I haven't felt like it's a huge update for the Push in standalone. They call it Push 2.0, which is interesting when you update the software, but it doesn't feel like this huge dramatic upgrade to me. But that said, there are still some cool features. Like I said, having Roar and Meld on here is cool. It does feel like in general the workflow is a little smoother. They've changed the preview icon, so when you're previewing sounds, that is a different color and a different icon. Things like that are cool, quality of life things. The big thing that's missing for me still personally is the ability to create instrument racks from scratch on device. So for example, the first time I loaded this up with 12 on it, I loaded up Meld, I made a patch from scratch, I added a few different effects. On the desktop, I could hit Shift and select all of them and then turn them into a group and save as an instrument rack. And then I could also map macros on that rack. And that's just not something you can do in standalone. Please correct me if I'm wrong, although if it's 2 years from now, then maybe that's just an update. But if it's recent, like if you're able to do that today and I just haven't figured it out, please let me know. Otherwise, the only thing I'm aware of is basically creating these whole chains of instruments and effects on device and then syncing your project over to the desktop and then doing what I'm talking about, selecting all of them and making a group, saving that as an instrument rack, and then sending that back over to the Push. That's really cumbersome, and it's different from every other device I've used on the market, where you can definitely just make full instrument chains with like the instrument and effects, especially the MPCs, the Akai Force. They're very good at that. And the Machine Plus, I believe. Could be wrong on that. This one, it's a lot of potential. It's just a missing function. So basically, like how I would want that to work is if I was in, I didn't make any of the ones in this track, so let's load the one I made. And this one you can see, well, you can't see. Here, let me show you. So you can see I have Meld, Roar, Chorus, and Hybrid Reverb. These are all independent devices on here. Ideally, I would want to be able to hold like the Shift button and select all of them, and then hit like a Save, Shift, or something to group them all together. That's not something you can do, and it's kind of a bummer, because it means I can't load this in another project. I'd have to recreate it, or I'd have to, like I said, load it in the software version, make the group, and then I could load it later. Very cumbersome, but I don't think they designed this thing assuming everyone was going to want to do deep sound design on it. Maybe I'm just a weirdo. I don't know. But I will say this thing continues to be a very futuristic and impressive device that I am a fan of. I'll show you this patch I made, and then I'll show you a little beat that I made and kind of walk through how I made the beat. In fact, actually, I think I'll walk through that first. So this is the first little track I made. Like I said, this is a Meld preset I made myself with Roar on it, Chorus, and Hybrid Reverb. And I will say, I really do think the UI for all the plugins looks really good now. I don't know how much has changed, and obviously Roar and Meld are new, but I do think they're doing a good job of making these preset, or these plugins rather, function and look nice in standalone, which is cool. I think that's something I called out in my Push 3 wish list, and they're doing a good job of that. I did not create this one, and so this shows you what it could look like if you can make groups, right? Because you've got wavetable, flanger, reverb, but these are all tied to this master group with macros on it. You can't build this on device. You'd have to go do this in the software. And then I just added a drum kit here. But I'll play you a little bit of what this sounded like. So yeah, this is the Meld. You can hear that MPE pitch going on. And this is a plugin I did not make. A wavetable kind of rhythmic arpeggiator thing, or arpeggiator thing. And then just a drum kit from one of the packs. But I thought it sounded cool. But let me show you the beat I made yesterday or the day before that I actually am a big fan of. I believe it's Distraction of Flock. And I do like that this has an auto name feature similar to the Polyend products. So this beat was pretty fun to make. The first thing I did is I loaded up the string loop and I cut it up using the transient slicing. And then I found basically I started playing with these little slices until I found something that I liked. And here's that first little bit. After I had that, I decided to add some drums. Oh, I don't think I can multi-solo either. Okay, sure. Then I duplicated, I just held duplicate and created a new scene. Added some elements to the drums, did that again, added more elements to the drums, and then I went back and started adding additional layers. So I believe this is a bass. So here's the next version of this section. Then I decided to make a B part. I'll show you this after that. The B part, let's stop everything, started with this chop. Then I needed some drums, so I made a totally net new drum loop. I didn't copy it over, I just made a new pattern. Then I added a bass. This is the FM pluck bass. And then if we go back here, I added this collision, this beam. What is this preset called? This preset is called Balafon Bright. And I thought it was really pretty. Here's that in context. And then lastly, on the B part, I added a pad that sounds like this. Another Ableton preset. And so honestly, to be clear, almost nothing in this second beat requires Ableton 12. This is kind of all stuff I believe you could do with just Ableton 11 Suite, but it's nice that if I wanted to add roar, if I wanted to add meld, if I wanted to add more things to it, I could. We're still waiting for an arranger. We're still waiting for the ability to actually record your whole set into the linear view. It's all still scenes. I still think you should be able to record your live performance into at least a preview of the arrangement with your stems in each individual track. We'll see if that happens. And we're still, like I said, waiting for the ability to group instrument groups that you make yourself, not these pre-made ones, which you can see this is a group: wavetable, auto filter, pedal, chorus, reverb, utility. You can't do that on device. I think you should be able to. But anyway, thank you so much to everyone who's liked and subscribed. I really appreciate you all. Thank you so much to people who've checked out my album, There's Something Better. I've got another one coming out this year or next year. We're getting close. There's like a whole Google Drive folder here. I'll show you. I don't know if people believe that I really have an album in the works, but really no. There's a whole bunch of stuff. There's album art I commissioned. It's the real deal. I just need to finish it up. Anyway, in the meantime, I hope you enjoy this beat, and I hope you have a wonderful week ahead. Peace. Thanks for watching.